videos that actually started kind of doing well was my reading Rebecca video. So Rebecca is my favorite book ever. It's by Daphne du Maurier, and it's very long. Let's see, it's like, I'm gonna say 300 pages long, or 400 pages long. It's not like super long, but it's long enough that I couldn't read it in one video. So I made a part one, and a part two. So now I'm going to do a part three. saw he had already left the dining room, and she, fearful of losing him, had not waited for the letter, but had risked a bare-faced introduction on her own. He was even now sitting beside her on the sofa. I walked across to them and gave her the letter without a word. He rose to his feet at once, while Mrs. Van Opper, flushed with her success, waved a vague hand in my direction and mumbled my name. "Mr. De Winter is having coffee with us. Go and ask the waiter for another cup," she said, her tone just casual enough to warn him of my footing. It meant I was a youthful thing, and unimportant, in that there was no need to include me in the conversation. She always spoke in that tone when she wished to be impressive, and her method of introduction was a form of self-protection. For once I had been taken for her daughter, an acute embarrassment for us both. This abruptness showed that I could safely be ignored, and women would give me a brief nod, which served as greeting and dismissal in one, while men, with large relief, would realize they could sink back into a comfortable chair without offending courtesy. It was a surprise, therefore, to find that this newcomer remained standing on his feet, and it was he who made a signal to the waiter. "I'm afraid I must contradict you," he said to her. "You are both having coffee with me," and before I knew what had happened, he was sitting in my usual hard chair, and I was on the sofa beside Miss Van Opper. For a moment she looked annoyed. This was not what she had intended, but she soon composed her face, and thrusting her large self between me and the table, she leaned forward in her chair, talking eagerly and loudly, fluttering the letter in her hand. "You know, I recognized you just as soon as you walked into the restaurant," she said, "and I thought, why, there's Mr. De Winter, Billy's friend. I simply must show him these snaps of Billy and his bride taken on their honeymoon. And here they are. There's Dora. Isn't she just adorable? The little slim waist, those great big eyes. Here they are sunbathing at Palm Beach. Billy is crazy about her, you can imagine. He had not met her, of course, when he gave that party at Gladry. I swear I can read. I have that ability. When he gave that party at Claridge's, and where I saw you first, but I dare say you don't remember an old woman like me." This with a provocative glance and a gleam of teeth. "On the contrary, I remember you very well," he said, and before she could trap him into a resurrection of their first meeting, he handed her his cigarette case, and the business of lighting up stalled her for the moment. "I don't think I should care for Palm Beach," he said, blowing the match and glancing at him. I thought how unreal he would look against a Florida background. He belonged to a walled city of the 15th century, a city of narrow cobbled streets and thin spires where the inhabitants wore pointed shoes and worsted hose. His face was arresting, sensitive, medieval in some strange, inexplicable way, and I was reminded of a portrait seen in a gallery, I had forgotten where, of a certain gentleman unknown. Could one but rob him of his English tweeds and put him in a black, with lace at his throat and wrists, he would stare down at us in our new world from the long distant past, a past where men walked cloaked at night and stood in the shadow of old doorways, a past of narrow stairways and dim dungeons, a past of whispers in the dark, of shimmer rapier blades, of silent, exquisite courtesy. I wished I could remember the old master who had painted that portrait. It stood in a corner of the gallery, and the eyes followed one from the dusky frame. They were talking, though, and I had lost the thread of conversation. "No, not even 20 years ago," he was saying. "That sort of thing has never amused me." I heard Miss Van Opper give a fat, complacent laugh. "If Billy had a home like Manderley, he would not want to play around in Palm Beach," she said. "I'm told it's like fairyland. There's no other word for it." She paused, expecting him to smile, but he went on smoking his cigarette, and I noticed a faint gossamer the line between his brows. "I've seen pictures of it, of course," she persisted, "and it looks perfectly enchanting. I remember Billy telling me it had all those big places beat for beauty. I wonder if you could never bear to leave it." His silence was now painful and would have been patent to anyone else, but she ran on like a clumsy goat, trampling and trespassing on land that was preserved, and I felt the color flood my face. Dragged with her as I was into humiliation. "Of course, you Englishmen are all the same about your homes," she said, her voice becoming louder and louder. "You'd appreciate them so as not to seem proud. Isn't there a minstrel's gallery at Manderley and some very valuable portraits?" She turned to me by way of explanation. "Mr. De Winter is so modest he won't admit to it, but I believe that lovely home of his has been in his family's possession since the Conquest. They say that the minstrel's gallery is a gem. I suppose your ancestors often entertained royalty at Manderley, Mr. De Winter." This was more than I had hitherto endured, even from her, but the swift lash of his reply was not unexpected. "Not since Ethelred," he said, "the one who was called Unready. In fact, it was while staying with my family that the name was given to him. He was invariably late for dinner." She deserved it, of course, and I waited for her change of face, but incredible as it may seem, his words were lost on her, and I was left to writhe in her steed, feeling like a child that had been smacked. "Is that unbelievable behavior making a bond between us. But as it was, I was stricken into shame and endured one of the frequent agonies of youth. I think he realized my distress, for he leaned forward in his chair and spoke to me, his voice gentle, asking if I would have more coffee, and when I refused and shook my head, I felt his eyes were still on me, puzzled, reflective. He was pondering my exact relationship to her, wondering whether he must bracket us together in futility. "What do you think of Monte Carlo? Or don't you think of it at all?" he said. This including of me in the conversation found me at my worst, the raw ex-school girl, red-elbowed and lanky-haired, and I said something obvious and idiotic about the place being artificial. But before I could finish my halting sentence, Mrs. Van Hopper interrupted. "She's spoiled, Mr. De Winter, that's her trouble. Most girls would give their eyes for the chance of seeing Monty." "Wouldn't that rather defeat the purpose?" he said, smiling. She shrugged her shoulders, blowing a great cloud of cigarette smoke into the air. I don't think she understood him for a moment. "I'm faithful to Monty," she told him. "The English winter gets me down, and my constitution just won't stand it. What brings you here? You're not one of the regulars. Are you going to play Jimmy, or have you brought your golf clubs?" "I have not made up my mind," he said. "I came away in rather a hurry." I wonder why. Sorry, I've read the book. I know exactly what happens. Of course I know what happens if I've read it. Anyways, you should read Rebecca, or listen to me read Rebecca to you. Sorry, I stopped. Got distracted. Anyways. His own words must have jolted a memory, for his face clouded again, and he frowned very slightly. She babbled on, impervious. "Of course, you missed the fogs at Manderley. It's quite another matter. The West Country must be delightful in the spring." He reached for the ashtray, squashing his cigarette, and I noticed the subtle change in his eyes, the indefinable something that lingered there, momentarily, and I felt I had looked upon something personal to himself with which I had no concern. "Yes," he said shortly, "Manderley was looking its best." A silence fell upon us during a moment or two, a silence that brought something of discomfort in its train. In stealing a glance at him, I was reminded more than ever of my gentleman unknown who, cloaked in secret, walked a corridor by night. Mrs. Van Hopper's voice pierced my dream like an electric bell. "I suppose you do know a crowd of people here, though I must say Monty is very dull this winter. One sees so few well-known faces. The Duke of Middlesex is here in his yacht, but I haven't been aboard yet." She never had, to my knowledge. "You know Nell Middlesex, of course," she went on. "What a charmer she is. They always say that second child isn't his, but I don't believe it. People will say anything, won't they, when a woman is attractive, and she is so very lovely. Tell me, is it true that the Caxton Hislop marriage is not a success?" She ran on through a tangled fringe of gossip, never seeing that these names were alien to him. They meant nothing, and that as she prattled unaware, he grew colder and more silent. Never for a moment did he interrupt or glance at his watch. It was as though he had settled himself on a standard of behavior since the original lapse when he had made a fool of her in front of me and clung to it grimly rather than offend again. It was a page boy in the inn who released him, with news that a dressmaker awaited Miss Van Hopper in the suite. He got up at once, pushing back his chair. "Don't let me keep you," he said. "Fashions change so quickly nowadays that they may have even altered by the time you get upstairs." The sting did not touch her. She accepted it as a pleasantry. "It's so delightful to have run into you like this, Mr. De Winter," she said as we went upwards toward the lift. "Now, I've been brave enough to break the ice. I hope I shall see something of you. You must come and have a drink sometime in the suite. I may have one or two people coming in tomorrow evening. Why not join us?" I turned away so that I should not watch him search for an excuse. "I'm so sorry," he said. "Tomorrow I am probably driving to Sauspel. I'm not really sure when I'll get back." Reluctantly, she left him, but we still hovered at the entrance of the lift. "I hope they've given you a good room. This place is half empty, so if you are uncomfortable, mind you make a fuss. Your valet isn't packed for you, I suppose." This familiarity was excessive, even for her, and I got a glimpse of his expression. "I don't possess one," he said quietly. "Perhaps you would like to do it for me." This time his shaft had found its mark, for she reddened and laughed a little awkwardly. "Why, I hardly think," she began, and then suddenly and unbelievably she turned upon me. "Perhaps you can make yourself useful to Mr. De Winter. If he wants anything, you're a capable child in many ways." There was a momentary pause while I your efforts to monopolize the conversation quite embarrassed me, and I'm sure it did him. Men loathe that sort of thing. I said nothing. There seemed no possible reply. Oh, come, don't sulk, she laughed and shrugged her shoulders. After all, I am responsible for your behavior here, and surely you can accept advice from a woman old enough to be your mother. Eh bien, plaise je viens. And humming a tune, she went into the bedroom where the dressmaker was waiting for her. I knelt on the window seat and looked out upon the afternoon. The sun shone very brightly still, and there was a gay high wind. In half an hour we should be sitting to our bridge, the windows tightly closed, the central heating turned to the full. I thought of the ashtrays I would have to clear, and how the squash tub stained lipstick would sprawl in company with discarded chocolate creams. Bridge does not come easily to a mind brought upon snap and happy families. Besides, it bored her friends to play with me. I felt my youthful presence put a curb upon their conversation, much as the parlor maid does in the arrival of dessert, and they could not fling themselves so easily into the melting pot of scandal and insinuation. Her men friends would assume a sort of forced tardiness and ask me jocular questions about history or painting, guessing I had not long left school and that this would be my only form of conversation. I sighed and turned away from the window. The sun was so full of promise, and the sea was whipped white with a merry wind. I thought of that corner of Monaco which I had passed a day or two ago, and where a crooked house led to a cobbled square. High up in the tumbled roof there was a window, narrow as a slit. It might have held a presence medieval, and, reaching to the desk for a pencil and paper, I sketched in fancy with an absent-minded profile, pale and aquiline, a somber eye, a high-pitched nose, a scornful upper lip, and I added a pointed beard and lace to the throat, as the painter had done long, long ago in a different time. So my most sincere apologies. I went to edit that video after I had recorded it, and I found that actually, the thing was weird, and it stopped recording all of a sudden. It's not even like a video without audio, it just stopped recording, and then the next video I recorded, it also simply didn't record. So we're gonna pick up here and finish the chapter, because there isn't much left, but someone knocked at the